I think I sat there once to hide away from my bully.
I see that kind of fits what we're talking about right now.
Just cute.
No, cute was, yeah, cute.
Let's crowd around thy microphone. Hi, it's Emily.
Hi, it's Rebecca. It's also Isabel.
And we have a special guest.
Piers.
Piers, why are you here?
I'm here to talk about Dungeons and Dragons and why people fantasize.
So, everyone, what's Dungeons and Dragons? I actually have no clue what Dungeons and Dragons is. I remember once, I think Piers tried to get me into Dungeons and Dragons. It did not work out. Anyways, Emily, what do you think of Dungeons and Dragons?
I probably won't know the rules until like 4 weeks in.
Well, that's pretty optimistic, Emily.
Okay.
Isabel,
So
what do you think of Dungeons and Dragons?
It looks fun. I want to join. Maybe but I'm not.
Okay, this all
Would you
fits.
consider that, Piers?
Consider
Letting
Isabel join, when she's not a mess inside?
No. Yeah, sure.
Thanks.
I mean, sure.
Okay, so Piers, for someone that's essentially like Dungeons and Dragons what the fuck is Dungeons and Dragons?
Well, it's a fantasy game.
We're
that-
cussing.
It's kind of the original
Cussing.
fantasy game.
We're an edgy place now. Go on, Piers.
Sorry, I was saying.
Yeah. Okay, you were saying, go on.
Well, Dungeons and Dragons is the original fantasy game where Gary Gygax and Dave Ameson in the 70s met up. They were in their garage and they were like, man, we don't want to just read fantasy stories. We just want to dress up as fantasy people and hit people. We want to sit around a table and play it. And basically, that's what you have today. And
So what
it's-
exactly do you
What is it?
That sounds fantastic.
What exactly do you do in
And
Dungeons
soul.
and
Well,
Dragons?
there's a dungeon master who's basically, if you think of it like a computer game, they're the computer and they create all the environments and they create all the characters that you meet and interact with in the game and all the kind of quests or like dungeons or whatever. And then the players, it's like a party, they all go and basically partake in the adventures of this kind of storytelling.
When did you start Dungeons and Dragons?
2014.
Wow. Why?
Well, because me and Shorsha, old buddy, you know Shorsha.
We don't know who George is.
Well, for those of
He's
you
a strange
who know
little boy.
Shorsha,
That's all.
he's
That's
not
all
little.
he is.
He's like 7 foot tall. Like he's very tall. He's like much taller than all of us. He's not little at all. I'll have you know. No.
You sound like a JD wannabe.
Guys,
Oh my
you have
god,
to
what if he
realize that.
listens? No, he
Yeah.
wouldn't actually listen to this.
Yeah, he won't listen to our podcast. We're safe. Okay, keep going,
I,
Piers.
He scares me.
He does, yeah.
But yeah, no. Me and him met up and and Sam Butcher was in the crew as well. Before
Everyone's name.
We really don't need that.
It was the trio from 6th class. Me and 2 friends. You should, or me and 2 acquaintances met up and we said, let's play
not even
D&D.
friends.
Oh,
Whoa.
Whoa, no.
Let's not go back to that episode. I don't know. I'll just continue.
Okay, and actually, what's MTG about? I've heard a lot of stuff about it. What is it?
It's a card game where you play with cards and you...
How can
Even
you
I'm clapping. He's
card
Isabel's.
game where you play with cards?
Well, because there's Android Netrunner where you play with chips.
That's
and
really
poker,
funny,
where you
Piers.
play
Keep
with
going.
chips.
Please keep
And-
going, Piers.
And it's a card game where you exclusively play with cards. No, not really. But so I guess I'm just nervous because you guys. I don't know.
Okay, well,
It's just-
MTG is like a card game, and it's
And you
like
play
a bit of
against
fantasy.
another person.
Yeah, play against. Oh, fuck.
Are we just going?
Okay, anyways, so it's like a card game.
It's a card game where people play against each other and you use spells to basically kill another person and bring them down from 20 to 0 life.
Wasn't there a Dungeons and Dragons movie? I think I saw it.
Yeah, there was.
Was it good?
No.
Oh, okay.
I watched it for like 30 seconds and like vomited.
Why? What's wrong with it?
It's like fun. Have you seen the Fantastic Four movie?
Yeah.
It's like that, but like
Favorite film ever.
with men
Should've
in,
won
like-
all the
Wait, which
Oscars.
one? Which
The
version?
Death of Stalin. Is
anyone is
obviously the best
awful.
movie ever.
They're all terrible.
Wait.
But
Quick
it's like
advertisement for
Happy
the Death of Stalin.
is the best movie ever.
Go see the Death of Stalin. Have you
I can
seen
like
the
act
Death
out
of
a scene if
Stalin?
you want.
Well, if it's any consolation, I put up a Stalinator meme in my school.
Have you seen the Death of Stalin?
No.
Have I seen the Death of Stalin?
I wrote
No.
a great essay on him.
Are we ready to see
I wrote
Isabel?
a great essay in my exam. I don't want to tell you what year I am in because you're creepy. I don't like you.
Of who?
You can kind of tell she's the cool one. Anyway, are you ready to see Isabel perform some stuff from the death of Stalin? Yes.
Yeah, I am. Go ahead, Isabel.
I don't know anything from it. I haven't watched
I was
it.
asking Emily, but alright.
Yeah, you
You
said the wrong
said
name.
Isabel.
Well, you're the same people, so just Okay, Piers, so tell me what Dungeons and Dragons is about again. No, but why exactly
In
is
case
it
you're wrong
about
about my
fun?
appallingly awful description of Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah,
I did no
Yeah.
justice to any of it.
It was pretty
It's a
appalling.
dice game where you play with dice. Well, are we talking about Death of Stalin or Dungeons and Dragons?
We're trying to do a mix of both here.
The Stalin.
Has there ever been a Dungeons and Dragons where it was Stalin
Right,
based?
the trees and
Yeah,
the
almost definitely. The thing is about D&D is that
Yeah.
it's more of a system as opposed to like just a game, and that you can apply the system to any setting. So you can create your own setting. You can set like I know a guy who was playing a World War I setting where they're just using the same rules. Sorry, I should cover my mouth. And basically, its generic one is just like kind of a typical medieval fantasy setting, but you can set it in like a weird steampunk, Victorian, retrofuturist, weird ass fucking.
Tell me
thing.
something weird that happened in Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh,
Apart from like,
this is going to be a little bit dark.
yeah, I can't wait
It's-
for this. I can't
pretty
wait for
fucked.
this.
Well, like I played with this group of people, and like the youngest one there was like 10 or 9 or something.
Did he cry?
At one point, yeah. Yes, I wish I was kidding. He literally cried.
Oh.
People literally, I almost broke down into tears playing D&D. It was fucking, no, some of the things that have happened in D&D are like really, like you can go like from like lightly kind of humorous to go to the place of like your mind where you wish you could never go. And like, because like especially if you're playing long sessions in a cramped space, like we were, where we were just all in this guy's living room.
I'm just imagining you're like a dingy cellar with one light bulb just swinging across. They're all just like in wife beaters.
Just like drinking our Dr. Pepper. Just like,
Yeah, and like
Oh, it's
your
just like-
wife's just like crying.
we've just got like a Mountain Dew hat, and it's got Mountain Dew like with a straw.
No, it's not Mountain Dew.
Like a Cheetos drip.
It's going to have this Mountain Dew, but it's a mixture of Mountain Dew and
Uranium? Oh, they're like the same thing. They're like...
Piers,
Anyway,
please go on.
so
Heroin.
what happened
I
in
don't
it is like, basically, I was running this game, and it starts off where we're all just in a town, all of the characters, and they just meet up, and they're like, alright, well, we'll go look around. But I had it was a very seemingly normal town. Like, for those of you who've seen Twin Peaks, Rebecca,
Oh gosh, I don't
it's
want to
like-
go back to that
it's
time.
like a normal town, and then it becomes this very much like a fucked up thing where they went into this bar, and there was this kid, and like one of them was like one of the guys in the party was just kind of an asshole.
Okay.
And he was just walking the town, just like slap people and just be a general prick. And so I kind of thought I'd leave like little things around for them. So they'd walk around, they'd just go on random missions, and they'd come back. There was this bartender who was a bit, I don't know, he was strange. And they one time brought this goblin back from this kind of mercenary quest thing where they went back and just killed loads of goblins, brought one survivor back, and went to go back to the bugbear's base, and the bugbear were like the goblin's boss. And so they go into this bartender's attic and find there's like this torture sex dungeon in there. And
Oh, wow.
but the thing is, as opposed to being like appalled, they were like, "Ooh, how can we make a profit off this?" And they like would
the
literally kidnap.
dominatrix business. Is
No, they'd
really
literally
cool.
kidnap children and
Oh.
goblins. There was a child in this party who would kidnap children and like feed them to this awful sex slave, and he'd cut them up and stuff, and they would watch. They'd see everything. It was like,
Did they get aroused to watch it?
well,
We
like
don't know.
it was like, you know, like erotica ebooks. Not that I've ever
Wait,
indulged.
no.
in. I'm just saying.
You know
We're
what?
gonna save that for next
I've read
episode
them.
with Piers.
But you know, they're
Keegan,
good.
Alright, we're gonna save that for the next episode with Piers again.
Well,
Go on.
so basically, it was like that, and it was just one of them totally had got a boner. He was like a 14-year-old, like he
Was
he
this
definitely.
person for real?
Oh god,
Like
yeah.
in real-
He always said legit all the time. The
Oh
one word
my
always-
god, I can never use that word again.
Piers, I don't want to be gross, but how could you tell he got a boner?
Yeah.
Well, because like he was pretty forthcoming about it, but never mind. That's irrelevant.
Forthcoming. Sorry.
Oh. But crash. Anyway, oh man, I like how I just touched something and just ruined the whole thing. And anyway, they would basically go around, and then they found this little goblin who, I don't know, I feel a little bit like I have a gagging reflex when I think about this, but they would get this goblin, and they literally, like, they maimed him. Like, he was still alive, though. And because his leg was broken on a quest, they weren't, like, bothered, even though it would have literally cost them nothing, they weren't bothered to, like, help him at all. So they just got a wooden plank and nailed one part of it to his hip and the other part to his ankle, and, like, just made him walk around. And they'd used to... they would literally anally rape him every night. Like, so, like, that's kind of, like, the kind of thing that could happen. And then they just left him, and he just, like, this syphilis-ridden goblin walking around, like, hobbling around in the woods. And they, like, would run into him every now and again, just abuse him, and then, like, leave, take whatever he had. But they wouldn't kill him. They wouldn't do him that. They wouldn't do him that service. But then there's other, like, lighthearted things. Like, one time we went into a cave, and, like, this dam broke, and loads of water came flooding in, and everyone else escaped. This one hobbit halfling character was, like, he couldn't breathe underwater, obviously, so we had to swim around to find a place to escape, and there was a natural chimney, which is the only place I left open, because I was a sadistic son of a bitch when I started. Nothing's changed, but the only option for him to escape is to climb up this, and, like, shoot out this natural chimney. So he's, like, going, and keeps going to the fires at the top, and he finds he's, like, 40 feet in the air, and he dies. And this is, like, the first, like, day that we started playing. So, like, that's just kind of lighthearted. And
That's the lighthearted part. So he just shoots out of a chimney and dies.
But you can just, yeah. So it's like anything can happen. There's no, like...
So, Piers, why do you think people use Dungeons and Dragons to fantasize?
Well, because if you're a level 7 paladin legging it through a field, you're not going to have an asthma attack halfway through.
Aww.
Unless you're going totally immersion, and you're like... Oh man, so a lot of the people, when you think of Dungeons & Dragons target
I'm
audience...
gonna take you on a marathon someday.
That will be like my first and last marathon.
Yeah,
And it will be an honour
exactly.
to go on a marathon with you, Rebecca. It'll be the last thing I ever do, actually, now that I think of it, because, I mean... But yeah, no, so he'd like... So you'd play D&D, and you'd sit down, and... It's like, you all are in youth theatre, obviously, so it's like a game about acting.
So couldn't you kind of
So-
link? I don't know. Like, aren't these all kind of ways of, like, you know, escapism, like getting out
Yeah.
almost? Like we do.
Like with reading,
Yeah,
but
we
like
do.
you're actually in the story.
And how come people think that like Dungeons and Dragons is like, you know, masturbating and just
What?
Who
don't
would have
do
thought
it.
of that?
I'm not saying that masturbating.
Where did you find that?
No, but
Who
like,
said
yeah, like that with
That's-
those weird,
I mean-
creepy fantasies and yeah. Escapes.
Are you sure it's not something else?
Well, like it's an outlet. Like the D&D itself is an
How
outlet.
come?
Oh,
Then
like-
how come we don't call youth theater? How come we
It
don't call
is.
music?
Okay.
We do though.
Kind of,
Great
yeah.
outlet.
Not the
yeah.
same way.
The
as
music
D&D.
is kind of an outlet for your emotions, and well, I don't know from what I hear.
No,
Like
no,
singing
it's
or something.
I'm just like I'm the
Look at the
queen
movies
of
laughing
writing
to
diss
the-
tracks at this point. So
No, this is
Here, just laugh a little.
I just like looked at my guitar over there,
You
like
laugh,
that's not
but in-
flat for your emotions. And
Can-
it's like
You laugh,
Well,
but
like,
like in
you
our
can-
space's voice. I'm from D&D. This is just us making funny noises now.
that should be the whole podcast.
I like that very much. Actually, what if? Thank you. Sorry, I had a great idea. What if we set up like a separate, you know, what do you call that thing where people talk like
Okay, seriously, is anyone gonna need that?
ASMR. Are you talking about ASMR?
Like, I'm talking about, you know, that thing where, you know, you kind of rub dudes
Don't
with
talk
your
about
chest,
air ASMR, Rebecca.
and you just
Rebecca.
you talk really quietly, and sometimes it helps you relax.
Ew, that just makes my back tickle.
That
What
is
if we
ASMR.
have that
is
with you
ASMR.
and Piers, where it's just
Oh.
I'm just doing
Stop.
arse face noises. I'm like-
What is our space? We're all confused.
Okay, Arse Face, for those of you who haven't read Preacher, is a character in Garth Ennis and Steve Doohan's Preacher. He got shot in the face, and like
Have you got to
his...
that end bit yet?
No, I haven't read it finished before. But he has like a musical career later on.
Ooh,
He's
musical.
He's a master. Like he's just a fucking legend. I want him to have my kid. I mean,
You want? Oh.
I mean, I don't think he. Maybe
Well,
you.
he got shot in the face. His face looks like an ass, and then one of the characters nicknamed him Arse Face, and it became his name. And no one knows his real name. It's just
I thought it was fucking Cassidy, wasn't it?
Cassidy called him Airspace. Yeah. And I was like, Airspace. Yeah. I was like, I will become Airfare. Anyway, so
D&D.
yeah.
Okay, well, Fantasize. Well, okay, really, like
It's the same
D&D.
as you. Sorry, you were saying. Sorry.
That's probably D&D.
It's the
It's
same
like
as you think.
you kind of like. Okay, I'm gonna probably offend a lot of people.
I
Like
can't
when you
wait.
think of D&D and youth theater, you kind of think of dorks.
Well,
Well, yeah,
It's kind of true.
I know.
Yeah.
I am.
yeah, the stereotype is true for teenagers, but then you notice when people are in their 20s, more kind of
there's more
Yeah,
more
respect
well-rounded.
in the
If-
sense that, you know, like, oh, but he's studying. He's studying. Like, he's
Oh,
going
he's
to
studying.
college. He's studying. I don't know, but, like, isn't that kind of... No insult to, like, my D&Ders out there. That's a horrible thing. I'm never saying that again.
Yeah, that was. Really
Yeah,
bad.
that was awful. That was bad. But
I didn't hear what you said.
it's almost like there's a hierarchy. Like, no insult Piers, but people who do Dungeons and Dragons are scraping the bottom of the barrel, and then there's us. You
I don't know.
I know. I feel terrible now that I said that.
No,
I'm
look,
so
Miss Emily's
sorry.
got Romeo and Juliet in her
I
class.
disagree.
She's
I've
actually
always
studying.
taught that D&D.
We
It's
never
different.
studied.
Well, I
We're
don't
dyslexic
really
now.
have it.
Anyways.
I know. I've always taught that like D&D sounded really fun, but
Yeah.
to be honest, I'm not really the best judge of what's cool or not.
Because she's friends with me. Anyways.
No.
Okay, so why do people fantasize, Emily? In Dungeons and Dragons.
Dungeons. I feel like okay. I don't know. Well, to be okay again, D&D and like theater, like kind of like dorky people,
Who don't exactly have any other kind of...
friends,
Thing.
or like like. Okay, where we
Well,
are,
this
like
is getting
sports, it's
sad.
kind of like a huge thing,
Well, that is...
Oh yeah.
and like D&D
Sports.
and like theater, like those are kind of just things that like you can like. It's not like with people that are like really shouting and like intimidating.
Yeah,
It's kind of with other people that aren't.
Well, I mean, the
Maybe.
D&D group do shout quite a
Yeah.
lot. Just for the record, they aren't quiet. I mean, we did get almost kicked out of the library 3 times.
Do they speak English though?
Yeah.
Still a question.
I told you to be quiet. Get out of my library.
And, yeah, it's just kind of like a place where like it doesn't actually really matter what you say because everyone else there is as awkward as you are.
You guys got kicked out. Will you
Oh,
tell
no.
us the sagas? Or no, sorry, Isabel. Go ahead.
okay. No, it's fine. I'm used to it.
Okay, so
Can
anyways,
someone please kick Isabel?
No, there's a microphone.
Okay,
I
I'll
need
give it
the
for one.
time for the microphone.
Do you want a
Okay. Well, okay, sure. I want a hug.
But this is like a pat on the back. That's really awkward.
So, like, hello, son. Please stop that.
I think people use D&D as fantasize as a way to fantasize, as a form of escapism. Fantasy worlds are highly
That's my junk drawer. Don't go in there.
they're used highly for
Fucking Nanny McPhee paper.
escapism because it's you're able to immerse yourself in a world and with characters, and it's more out there and more fantasy instead of like the real world where most stories are based in. So and also you're with a community of people and you still feel that that you have to have socialization, or else I hate socializing, but I know you have to do it. And I guess D&D, it's some people who have similar interests as you, and you can do it there and to shout at them for ruining your life.
The only scene where Garth in Wayne's World gets up and sings is kind of like that scene, that like what you were just saying. It just reminded me of that scene where he gets up and starts singing and then just sits down. It's really quiet afterwards.
Oh,
Never
that's
mind.
probably gonna be me one day.
Guys, we're all
Right.
interested in the arts, and like, even though we're headed for like another
Oh,
economic recession, that's gonna be all of us someday.
The real world applications of studying 16th century history courses. Whoa. I'm not fucking
To be honest, I
studying
don't
Shakespeare,
actually
fuck
understand why we have to study Shakespeare. Like,
Yeah, it's like
doth art with like shh.
I don't know.
I like Shakespeare.
I like it, but I don't
know,
understand
I like
why.
it.
Yeah,
I enjoy Shakespeare. Once you like understand what it's saying, it's actually quite beautiful and melodic.
The first actual scene. We're
That
talking
was
about like, oh, I could rape a woman.
And then he's like,
Oh.
Yeah.
he's like giving his thumb off to your one. That was pretty rude.
And they have a freaking like they're such uncivilized barbarians, really.
I know, but that's enjoyable because you get to
That's
see these
enjoyable.
horrible people in
Oh my God.
stage. Like,
Okay, sadistic.
who
skills.
wants to see a TV show about, or a movie, or read a book about a good person who does good things? Oh, that guy's ugly. I'm sorry.
Oh my
it's-
God.
He's one girly boy. Sorry. No.
Girly boys are cute,
But
to
she's
be
kinda
honest. I think lots of girly boys are cute, but I just don't really like his face. It's just a bit.
Oh yeah, they both look a bit weird.
I don't know. I just don't like his face. It freaks me out.
It looks a little bit like Kean from that.
That's why it freaks me out. It's disgusting. My
Oh my
brother's
God.
disgusting.
Oh,
No, he's not.
It's kind
You
of
disgust me.
Honestly, it just took me by surprise. And I was walking around with changing rooms in drama, and this tall Asian guy was there. And it was like, "Do you know where Isabel is?" And it's like, "Well."
His accent is
not
not
talk
like
like
that.
that.
He's like,
You know where Isabel
is?
You people ruined it.
He mumbles all the time. You have to hear him mumble.
God, I hate people who mumble.
Yeah, I
so
was
bad.
just making a point that he's
Yeah.
pretty. Okay. Sure. Anyways, back to the point, please.
I guess he does have
This
my
has just
genes.
become like people talking, but like we're recording it. Is that what a podcast is?
kind
Yeah.
of it's what it's gonna be for us now. We really should have planned this better. Anyways, hand this over.
Never mind.
All right.
Shit.
Then.
Actually,
Ooh.
the actual knows. There you go.
But I know someone who enjoyed this sort of laid back atmosphere. Well, she said she might have been lying.
As
that?
did our
Who's
good
that?
friend
Whispered in my ear.
Donald.
Do I know it?
It wasn't Donal. It
Oh,
was-
No,
I
but
know.
yeah, as did Donald.
Oh,
Donald,
no.
if you're hearing this, we love you. Say I love
Oh
you.
my god, Katie O'Connell, if you're hearing this, Wonderwall is a good song.
Lying.
Hey Emma, hope you're listening.
Uh,
Bye.
It's your turn, Piers.
Keith Cashman, I admire you so much for messing up the school Wikipedia page. Jason Potter's a clown. Vape Nation.
Why? Just why? I'm
Okay.
sorry, but
I met Keith Cashman today in
why
school.
did you say
and he
Vape
was
Nation?
throwing a pair of underwear at this guy in school. And I
Oh.
chased him around the school. I saw this whole thing. Like, no teacher noticed it. He was running around the school, like, jumping over tables, throwing a pair of underwear at this guy. This guy has,
Oh
like,
my
a
God.
tattoo on the back of his neck. He's, like, 17.
I was about to say, I really hope that guy didn't have OCD or something.
He jumped over tables.
Okay, so general consensus. Why do we fantasize in Dungeons and Dragons? Like a sentence at most. Go right now.
Because the world doesn't accept who you are.
Okay, Isabel.
escapism and
Piers?
fantasy helps
sorry.
escapism. Why do you always try to do this to me, Rebecca? Why do you
Yeah,
I don't
hate
think
me?
that was a sentence.
Why do
but
you
alright.
hate me?
Because asthma doesn't exist in the Forgotten Realms. It ain't easy being wheezy.
We're gonna call it an episode. Okay, so let's move away from the
Call it
microphone.
from-
Goodbye.
Oh my god!